All right, y'all. So let's switch gears a little bit. We read books. We like to talk about things that are also going on within our, within our little social circle here, and within the world, within the country. Uh, United States right now. Look, we in the month of October, and the U.S. government came in with a bang. So starting October 1, we are as a government, we are officially shut down.
Yes.
Which is it's kind of weird to even think about the fact that we haven't I don't even know when the last time we've had a full budget, like an actual budget to be passed, for the United States government. We've had these continual resolutions for the last forever, where we essentially are kicking the can as far as funding and how we appropriate funds for ensuring that all of our government functions are still, moving forward. But kind of came to an impasse for this new fiscal year, which starts in October 1. And just again, the previous, I guess, funding or continuing resolution expired. So we're now officially within a government shutdown within the United States. And just again, people are being furloughed, sent home. You're seeing some disruption in some of your services.
Correct.
With certain federal functions, national parks. We're hearing about even some of your like FAA and some of your people that with flights, and things of that sort. So we're just not really sure what the short term or long term impact of this, shutdown may be.
Correct.
But Congress still working. Supposedly, they still getting their paycheck.
Right. They ain't
still,
shut down.
Yeah,
or meeting.
They're not, shut down. And so just kind of want to get you guys' thoughts and opinions about again the current state of our government right now, being into this shutdown. Kind of a two-part question. Do you think the president or Congress, like, should they be held responsible for not having, fully funded the government or passing these, continual resolutions? Like, should they be the ones, to kind of take the brunt of this blame and be held responsible, opposed to, again, our country being, and people being furloughed? Like, should they be responsible? And also, how is this impacting you, even on a personal level, or even just on a larger scale? Like, what do you think the impacts may be? And so I'm gonna come on to my brother Isaiah, man, on this one. What are your thoughts about us kind of being shut down in this space right now, with Congress not being able to figure out how to agree on a budget and spending, and also what those impacts may or may not be?
So I think the Congress as well as the president should both be held responsible for this, because like you said, Congress is still being paid during this shutdown. And while they're not back in session, they should be working on these appropriation bills that are behind. And they should be having hearings about, one, this political violence that is going on, the state of our economy, and how to keep America safe from this out of control government. But no, the conservatives rather talk about this pro-life, why they're snatching healthcare away, making it unaffordable for people getting paid, and all the while skipping out on work. Okay, cool. We see you. But the fact that they still run the House, the Senate, the White House, the Supreme Court, and it's still a government shutdown, this is totally wild. And all they know is that basically they're just going to deny and deflect what the real accountability is. You cannot blame this only but yourselves, because if y'all running the House, y'all running the U.S., why are we still in the government shutdown? Right now, we have millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people that are not being paid, but you're not considering that as well too. Y'all think this is like a vacation. Y'all are shut down. Why are y'all not meeting to get the American people who actually voted and put you in that position a better economy? Now let's talk about the situation right here.
Yeah, that's good. Kim, any thoughts on, again, should Congress or the president, should they be held responsible or liable for a shutdown? And also, what are your thoughts about just impact, short term, long term, even personal impacts with this shutdown of our United States government right now?
Yes, they are absolutely responsible. I think when the government shuts down, they don't need to get paid either. I think with Congress and just everybody up in DC, they get in this bubble and they don't
Mhm.
operate in the real world. So I feel like
Mhm.
when they make
Mhm.
decisions, even like back when I remember when President Obama was in office and they're talking about healthcare, like they
Mhm.
were straight. But a lot of American people had issues and problems, so they were stalling and doing all this stuff because it didn't affect them. So I really believe, like, if you serve in Congress or any aspect of you're representing the people, you
Right.
need to be affected like the people, because then that'll put some fire under you and you'll get to making the decisions. You won't be shutting down. You'll pass a budget because you won't be getting paid. And I also think there should be term limits, but that's another
Most
conversation.
Right.
But
definitely.
I just think yeah, I just think they're just in a big bubble, so they don't have to feel it. But like Isaiah said, we the people voted you in that, and you're supposed to be representing the people and the best interest of the people, and they are not doing that. And I just
Correct.
think that's a shame.
It is.
I'll see people online now, like service members, are like, some people are living pay. A lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, and
Right.
it
Mhm.
really is affecting a lot of people, but they don't seem to care. And I think everybody should remember this when it's election time. But yeah,
Mhm.
I just think if I could wave a wand, I'd be like, if you serving in Congress or the Senate, whatever you doing, if that affects the people, it's going to affect you too. And I just think if that was the rule, we would have a better outcome, better system. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Nah, and even to kind of echo your point, Kim, I completely agree. I think there should be more, you know, I guess responsibility and liability placed on, the president and Congress
Correct.
in these situations. Like I said, we haven't had an actual full appropriation or a budget to be passed in years. And so the fact
Correct.
that, we have these people where this is supposed to be their primary responsibility
Right.
is to ensure that, the American people are taken care of.
Mhm.
And the other thing is, like, y'all know when these budgets are like due. So like, why do we wait to the last moment, to the last minute? Like, y'all should be in session well in advance to iron these details out well before we get to a point of even considering a shutdown. I mean, like, that's
Mhm.
just is crazy. It's ridiculous to me. And so I think, honestly, I feel like you as a congressman or woman, like, if you can't collectively figure this thing out, like, you should be, booted out. Like, I know it's not
Mhm.
everyone. I know some people are trying to actually, make it happen, but collectively, you all have been voted into these positions to try to figure something out and to, represent the American people. And that should have been the number one priority. Like, hey, we know when the funding was going to end. We should have
Mhm.
been talking about this months in advance, opposed to waiting to the last minute and
Mhm.
trying to figure it out. And now, again, letting the politics get involved into things where now is a big, political battle between Republicans and Democrats, and who's to blame, who's trying to hold out, who's using this leverage. And honestly, they use the same tactics on both sides. And so, like,
Mhm.
neither one is better than the other. And they both are doing things that
Right.
aren't really fully representing the people. And so I
Mhm.
definitely think they should be held responsible for this. Even me being a federal employee, so like right now I'm furloughed, so like I'm without job, without pay, and
Mhm.
so there's
Mhm.
a bit of uncertainty as far as what short term and long term impacts this may be for me personally. And so I'm pretty sure, as Kim mentioned, there are people that are living paycheck to paycheck, and just their
Most
anxiety of how they're
definitely.
gonna make ends meet. And we're kind of stepping into the holiday season, so like it's kind of
Mhm.
hard to think about
Right.
not receiving pay, because honestly, we don't know how long this shutdown is going to last. So,
Mhm.
I mean, the last
Most
one was for
definitely.
35 days. We don't know how long this one may be, but can people truly survive another month of not being paid?
Hey.
Like,
Right.
and what the
Right.
economic impacts of that may be. And so, I think that's where Congress should really be focused on, like, really standing up for the American people and really doing their job. And so, like I said, they're still getting paid. They're still, doing what they're gonna do, but they should most definitely be held responsible and liable for having us in this situation,
Correct.
and not doing anything about it. So, look,
Yeah.
as my boy Isaiah say, that's that on that.
That's that on that.
Yeah, like my little mini rant over here.
That's the truth, though.
Yeah, Laria, any thoughts about just shut down? Just kind of where we are right now, even
Yeah.
impacts, short or long interim impacts. And also, should the president and or Congress, should they be held responsible for this state that we're in?
Yeah. Well, it's infuriating to me. I get ticked off when I
Right.
start thinking about it because it's like these are families, these are
Mhm.
lives. These are not just numbers where you like, oh, we got 10,000, like 10,000 families for a certain area,
Yeah.
500. Like this affects everybody. And if you've never been broke before, you don't understand what that feels like.
Mhm.
People have daycare for their children. They have things that they plan to do with their families, and they have to have a paycheck. I mean,
Mm.
it's just if you don't have a paycheck, you can't pay your mortgage, your rent, your groceries, and stuff is so high now. You need every check you get. I mean, and
Yep.
so, and then on top of that, what really ticks me off is you cutting all the funding for all the programs to assist people that may be going through something like this. So
Right.
now you cut all of that and you cut me on both ends. Like what? So
Mhm.
what sense does that make? I have no idea. I don't understand it. I don't get it. And I just feel like America is learning a lesson when you elect certain people and put people in office
It's true.
and you're trying to, and I keep saying it, you're trying to cut out another group and end up cutting yourself because you're not wise enough to know that what affects one affects all. You start
Uh-huh.
over here, but it's coming back around to you at some point.
Right.
And one day people are going to understand that while you're trying to get back at this group and that group, it's coming to you too. Because we all in the same boat. We all in the same country. So, I just don't understand the logic behind it. I do understand it, and the logic behind it is race, but I don't think a lot of people get it. That's the underlying thing. And then now it's starting to affect the middle class because now you can see the separation where it's either you got it or you don't have it. We don't have
Mhm.
really a middle class anymore. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I just think that people who are in office, I'm like you, Isaiah, and what Joy Reid said, the Republicans are running every area and you can't agree because you already know it's wrong and you're not going to get elected again
All the branches
by
of
cutting,
government.
they were showing health care where a family would be paying $500 and then it would escalate up to $2,000 a month. Like what in the world? How is somebody supposed to pay that?
Yeah, who can
Two
afford
thousand
that?
dollars a month.
Right.
Right.
Going from 500 to 2,000 for a family of like four. Man, come on now. You can't do that. So I feel like the reality is starting to set in like, oh snap, we might not get reelected if we go on and pass,
Mhm.
if we go along with this. So I just think that loving thy neighbor includes making sure people are able to eat, pay
Correct.
their bills, and do right by folks. It don't matter who they are. But I'm just one woman with a little bit of common sense. A lot of this stuff, you go up there and you start lobbying and you go in as a regular person and come out a millionaire. We have a problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
How is that happening? And I'm down here, you know what I'm saying? Like
Uh-huh.
we all struggling.
Uh-huh.
I'm furloughed and all this, and you coming out a millionaire. Like what? How is that? It's corrupt. Everything is, and it just needs to be. We've been saying it on this show since we started that things need to be. We need a whole restructuring of everything. But will that happen? Probably not. But that's the
Yeah.
answer.
What needs to happen?
Keep preaching,
Yeah.
Reed. Keep preaching.
Yeah. Like I think we all kind of ran on this one because again, like
Uh-huh.
they're self-regulated. So of course they're not gonna
Yeah.
Right.
impose these things to limit
Right.
their power. So I
Right.
don't, and I hope that the American people are waking up and kind of seeing how things are
Mm-hmm.
playing out now. And maybe that could be the catalyst for us to kind of implement some of this change, but it's still, we have to work through these people. And I'm just not
Right.
sure how willing they are to relinquish their power. So